Hello students, a very good morning. So here up to now we have discussed what are the mathematical tools that we will need in physics. After that we start our chapter from today in physics, that is first of all the first chapter is physical world and measurement. So physical world is first A chapter and then we will start to study the measurement chapter. So first let's see what is physical world first of all. Physical world means here all the contribution of different scientists, all the law of nature and also types of forces. We are just studying this one in the physical world. So you can say simply whatever you know in physics that comes in this one, that is the physical world topic. So here number of scientists name is given in book. You can see their contributions and they have got Nobel Prize for different discoveries in different era and years. So that is very important things to know whenever you are studying any of the subjects, how your subject is developed, how the subject is evolved, from where it has been started. So science, you know, that is the study of the nature exactly, and in the study of nature in physics we are studying the laws that governs the nature. So here it means that in physics you are just studying the laws that are needed, that are governing the world, and we are just a part of that laws that is applicable everywhere. Similarly, in other subjects of science like chemistry and biology, you are studying the structure format, and also you are studying about the species there, plants there. So this is the complete science that is telling you everything here, and we have just kept it in parts. So mathematics helps us a lot to understand our subject and or to just discuss or to analyze the subject, where science subjects tells you everything about and your curiosity, what you are observing, the reason behind it, everything. So I think you can understand what our science is now. Next one in physical world, just I told you here in the physics, you know, before physics exactly, you know, a lot of natural phenomena you are seeing, and that natural phenomena are governed by some of the laws. Like if natural phenomena, I will tell you, earth is revolving around the sun, moon is revolving around the earth. That is going on from the number of years before, back, and also it will continue for the number of years until our star will not end, our planet's life will not end. So it means they are governing through a law, they are very disciplined through that law to follow that one. So that law here we will study in physics, clear? And we will start to study this one by the fundamental forces in nature. So force, you know, up to now, that is quantity or the things that is required to move a body or to stop a body. You know only this one. So here different thing, if I will tell you simple force, whenever it is appearing, then that time some kinds of phenomena is generating, some kind of interaction between some particles, some masses are generating. So this is the way, means everybody is binded by a force. So whenever we are talking about the force, this is not only a particular thing, we are pushing or pulling something, it is beyond that one, it is very at the grand level, means all the things that are governing, that are following a rule, that is under a force. Obviously always there is a force that is responsible for any kind of phenomena. So that is your first priority, to understand what is the fundamental forces in nature. So if we will just categorize forces, then that category falls in all four types of forces. So let's start and see our four forces first. The first force we have, that is well-known force, gravitational force. First force is gravitational force. Now let's see what is gravitational force, how can we calculate it, and this you know already. Actually gravitational force is that kind of force that is binding two of the masses. So whenever in space you have two masses, m1 and m2, and these and that time we know these masses attract each other by a force, and that force can be calculated by Newton's law of gravitation, and that is telling us force is directly proportional to the product of masses, and it is inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. And if you will solve proportionality, then you can obtain a constant, that is Z is called universal gravitational constant. So this is the way in which we can calculate gravitational force. Simple, this force binds two of the masses. Whenever some of the massive body, like I am here, you are here, so both are binded by a gravitational force always. So every body in universe that is massive, that is binded by this force, gravitational force. So here I think first of all this one is now clear. What is the gravitational force? So whenever you have the mass, that time the force will act between them. And one more thing, that force is always attractive, that is not repulsive, because that force should be attractive. If it will be repulsive, then our whole world will not exist. Everybody will start to repel each other, that will start to go away from each other, and ultimately our universe existence will be ended. So that is not we are seeing. We are seeing we are here for the long time, and from the long time. So it means that our laws are very particular. Here always this force should be attractive force, and for the attractive force we are seeing giving it minus sign here. So this is supporting that this is attractive force. So later this force we will discuss also in gravitation concept in chapter 7. So you will see that what is gravitational force, what are the properties of this kind of forces there. Next one, if some of the properties here I will tell you, then that time this gravitational force is, its range is infinite. The first property of gravitational force is its range is infinite. Range means up to which distance it can act. If two masses are at infinite distance, that two masses can be bind together by this force. It means that this is very varying force that is existing between any two masses. Any two masses can bind by the gravitational force. So its range is infinite. Next one, second one, it is the weakest force. Weakest force of nature. So gravitational force, like two of the masses like you and me, both are just binded by this force, but we are not feeling any kind of force on us. We are feeling free. It means that we cannot feel the gravitational force. Its strength is very small. So that is weakest force of the nature. Up to known term, we know up to this one. Gravitational force is weakest force. Later we will see strongest force also. Here next property is gravitational force is not affected by the intervening medium. Means if I will put a third object here, suppose third mass here, so due to this mass m3, this force will not be affected. But this one will start to even attract this one will start to attract this one. This property will start to follow, but this one force will not be affected. So it is never affected by any kind of intervening medium. Next property of gravitational force is here. It always follow inverse square law. Inverse square law means here you can see F is inversely proportional to R square. So this is inversely proportional. Inversely means inverse word I have taken. Square law means distance square. So it means whenever F is directly proportional to 1 by R square somewhere, we are calling that is following inverse square law. Next one term property of gravitational forces, this is the central force. Central force means always it is directed to the center of some of the body. Means if M1 is attracting M2, then if you will see the direction of force, that is directing to the center of M1. If M2 is attracting M1, so its direction is always in this one. Next property is actually action reaction pair will be always, means gravitational force is always occurring pair. So here you can see if M1 is attracting M2, M2 will also attract M1. They will be acting in opposite directions. It means they are forming a pair of force. So I think student this one is now clear. The first force, gravitational force, and this is now the weakest force. This is acting between two of the masses. Next one, after this one, let's see. Second one is weak nuclear force. First of all, let's see one by one. This is weak nuclear force. So what is weak nuclear force? This is also called weak forces. So weak forces are that kind of forces that appear for the short time, that helps to bind some of the molecules, atoms together. Like whenever you have two inactive or inert gases, then you have to bind, you have to just mix that to inert gases, then that time the force will act, that short time force will act, that is called weak forces. And weak forces, if you will see, that mainly helps a lot in forming nucleus there. Also some of the forces you have I think learned in chemistry, that is van der Waals forces. So van der Waals forces actually are defining how two molecules are binded together. So molecules are of two types. First is polar molecule, in which you can have such kind of polarity, means a molecule that has different positive and negative terms, that is called polar molecules. So here as this is called now polar molecule, in which positive and negative polarity you can see separated by some of the distance, and where they are overlapped, that is called non-polar molecules. So here as whenever some polar molecules have to be added together or binded together, then simply whenever the second molecule's negative sign that is adjusting here, so you know that positive and negative charges are attracted together by the Coulomb's law, that you can understand here already. So it means that these two are binded together by simple forces here. So this is also called the weak forces that are binding together. After this one, if you will see the force that is acting between non-polar, because non-polar don't have such kind of polarity where electrostatic attraction force can work, then that time what is actually going on? If here positive negative are overlapped with each other, so no of the forces are here, or no of the charges are here to attract each other. But we know all the electrons that are revolving around the nucleus in different orbits. So sometimes as their speeds are different, then they are localized in particular space, means some of the electrons are collected in space, and other space there is less electron. So where in the region where number of electrons are being greater, then that region becomes negative for some stand, and other region will become positive, not positive exactly in sign, but in comparison to this one it becomes positive in some extent. So simply you can see for a short time, even due to the localization of charges, due to collection of electrons, these two polarity is generated. In this condition, this negative charge start to attract or repel actually the electrons from here. So electrons are repelled of the second molecule due to this negative sign, and it will be collected here. So according to this one with respect to this will be positive space. So simply they will be now binded together by electrostatic repulsion. So here you can see for a short time, due to localization of charges, we are seeing binding of this one, and this binding is known as weak force binding. Clear? So these are the weak forces that are helped a lot to bind the non-polar molecules. Also you have seen next one in nucleus, some of the little or very short time reactions, we are seeing that reactions are also due to this kind of forces. So basically van der Waals forces are intermolecular forces that are falling in this range, and this is very short range force, not long range force. If I will tell you the properties of this one, so these are short range force. Due to this one we can understand the beta particles emission easily. So the rest of the I think forces is not about this force is clear. Simple, this force is very short range force. This is very weak intensity force. This is, you can see, very for the short time they are working. So they are used to bind the non-polar type molecules, or where we need some small reactions, there they are needed actually. So like beta emission, we are seeing this kind of forces, and van der Waals forces we are observing in nucleus. So in so many phenomena, short forces are appearing for the short time. So while discussing the nuclear chapter, atom chapter, I will tell you about these forces later also. So here only I am telling you what kind of forces we have. So it means you can see now van der Waals forces, short nuclear forces, they are all falling in this case. So number of forces are categorized in one category, that is weak nuclear force. And one more thing, if you will see the strength of weak nuclear force, then that is greater than the gravitational force. Means you can say its intensity, strength is greater than that one. Now let's see our third force. So third force of nature is electromagnetic force. So electromagnetic force is what? This force appears whenever we have charged particles. So suppose you have positive, negative charges, then you know in the space, if two of the charges are separated, suppose Q1, Q2 are the charges on them, they are separated by some distance, then Coulomb's law, according to that one, we know this the force between these two, means these same types of charges are here, they repel each other by a force, and that force is equal to Q1, Q2 upon, here you can write K Q1, Q2 upon R square, where K has value, you know, 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0, where epsilon 0 is permittivity of free space. So here this is the force that you can see that binds two positive charges, or that here one more thing, the repulsion and attraction, both kind of forces we can observe. Repulsion whenever same types of charges present, like negative charges or positive charges, but when attraction you will obtain when positive and negative charge are present, so they attract each other, like charges repel each other. So this is the property of this kind of electromagnetic forces here. Or not only the charges, also two magnets that you are seeing, the magnets also attract each other, repel each other. When two same polar poles are like north pole or south poles are side by side, then that time they repel. When north pole and south pole you will keep side by side, then that time they will attract. So these two forces, magnetic force and electrostatic force, falls in the electromagnetic force. So this is next type of force, our third type of force, that is electromagnetic force. This appear whenever we have magnets or we have charged particles. So exactly you know, this is whenever charge and magnets are appearing, only that this kind of charges will appear. Now we will see the range of electromagnetic forces. So the range of electromagnetic forces are fixed. After a certain distance, this Coulomb law start to you can say not obey this one, means charged particles start to just disobey this law. So you can say up to a certain limit this law is applicable, and also whenever the two charges started to come close, like positive negative charges attract each other, but whenever they started to come close continuously, when they will just come to the nuclear dimension, that is 10 to the power minus 15 meter, there they will start to repel each other. Means our again Coulomb's law start to be invalid there. So it means that Coulomb's law has a particular, you can say, condition, and in which it will be followed by any of the particle. So I think this is now clear, where electromagnetic force will appear, what is its range. Next thing, electromagnetic force is third largest strength force in nature. Means its strength is greater than weak force, and as well as its strength is greater than gravitational force. So if you will just see, its strength is nearly I think 10 to the power 19 times greater than the gravitational force. So simple, you can assume that how much stronger this kind of force. That's why whenever two magnets you are just keeping sides, you can see the force, you can feel the force that are there, because that force is much stronger than the gravitational force. So these are the properties of electromagnetic forces nature. So this is third large, actually not third largest, you can see second largest strength force, because if you will just make a letter, I will just making the arrow diagram for the strength also. So before that one, let's see now what the last force, that is the fourth force in nature, and that force is called nuclear force. Also we are calling it strong nuclear force, because weak nuclear force word I have written already. So here strong nuclear force we are calling the fourth one. This strong nuclear force is what? First of all, there is a limitation. This force will appear only in the nucleus. You know atomic model. In atoms, we have a positive core, and in that positive core, protons and neutrons are here, and electrons are revolving around this core. So this core is known as nucleus. So in this core, these protons, as protons are positively charged particles, they will repel each other, but still our nucleus is very stable. That is not easy to break. If you have to break the nucleus, you have to even deliver energy of the order of 10 power 6 electron volt. Means a lot of energy you needed to destroy the nucleus. Simple, you can see two protons or two neutrons, or proton or neutron, they are binding together by a very strong force, and that strong force is known as strong nuclear force. And this force strength you can just assume by example, that is the energy of sun we are obtaining by a nuclear process, that is called nuclear fusion process, where two nuclei bind together, and in the binding of them a lot of energy are needed, and after binding a lot of energies are even emitted, and that energy enlighten our world. You can see the energy of the sun by yourself, and that is the reason through which you can understand how much strength of force the nucleus has. After whenever it will break, how much energy can be generated there. So it means that this is the strongest of the we know up to now the strongest nuclear force, that is the strong nuclear force. Now let's just summarize our whole of the topic. First, before summarizing this, if I will say the property of a strong nuclear force, then a strong nuclear forces are appearing only in nucleus. I have told you limitation, where beyond the nucleus this force will not occur, and if this force binds proton, proton, neutron, neutron, or neutron, proton together in the nucleus. So this I think now clear. Rest of the property of this force we will study in nuclear physics chapter. So there we will see in very detail that the properties of nuclear forces. So next one here, let's see now the arrow chart of the strength. So here first we had understood this is gravitational force. First kind of force we had gravitational force. Second kind of force we have seen weak nuclear force. Third type of force we have seen electromagnetic force. And the fourth one we have seen, that is strong nuclear force. Now you can see your arrow chart here. It means that weak nuclear force is greater than gravitational force. Strength is electromagnetic force's strength is greater than weak nuclear force, and the largest or strongest force ever in nature, that is strong nuclear force. You can assume by the strength of this one, by the data that is following, this force is nearly 10 to the power 19 times greater than electrostatic, and this is 10 to the power 40 to 41 times greater than this one, the gravitational force. So you can understand easily what kind of strength in the strong nuclear forces. So here student, with this one, the fundamental forces in nature, you have now the knowledge. So all the forces that we will study, like viscous force, we will study in fluid mechanics. Later we will see any of the translational force, rotational force, centripetal force, centrifugal force. A number of name will come. Frictional force, always these all name will lie only in these four forces. So these forces are fundamental forces of nature only. Yeah. Now after this one, let's see the next topic in the physical world that you should know to understand the physics. Actually what we are doing, these topics are very important while we are moving in the physics. So that's why our second topic is here now, law of conservation. Law of conservation. So in the law of conservation, let's see now what kind of conservation law we have. So particularly in nature, we have again 4 types of law of conservation, and that 4 types of law of conservation are universal. Universal means if you will go anywhere, these laws will be fulfilled. Always this law, according to this one, whatever quantity I will tell you, that quantity will always be conserved. The first one law we have in the law of conservation, this is law of conservation of energy. First quantity that is conserved in our nature always, in our universe always, this is energy. Means long year ago the energies of universe was what? Still today that same energy is here. After the long time, same energy will be here. This law is saying us. In another word, if I will define law of conservation of energy, energy cannot be created or cannot be destroyed. It can be transferred from one body to only another body. So whenever the energy production you are saying, exactly you are not producing any energy, you are converting energy in different forms. Like you are using electricity, and that electricity through which you are enlightening your room through the bulb. So here electric energy is converting into the light energy as well as heat energy. So it means that conversion of energy you are seeing, not the production of energy you have. So this is our law of conservation of energy is telling to us, that is energy is always conserved, only we are seeing it its conversion in different forms. Clear, I think. The second quantity that is conserved in our nature, that is the conservation of linear momentum. So first of all, what is momentum? Momentum is quantity that defines us whether our body is in motion or not. So whenever a body is in motion and that is moving on a linear path, suppose some of the body is moving along this linear path, then if it is moving, then its momentum is defined as mass into velocity. So if m mass body is moving with v velocity, then that's when it is its momentum. Means if the momentum of any particle is 0, since mass cannot be 0, it means that velocity is 0. So it means that momentum reveals us whether our particle is in motion or not. So it is the measure of motion. So this measure of motion is always conserved in nature also. So it means that our linear momentum, if some of the body is suppose 2 bodies are colliding, one is stationary, second body is coming with some of the speed, it is colliding to it. So after collision and before collision, if you will calculate the momentum of both, you will add, that will be always equal. That will be always conserved. This law is telling us. The third quantity that is conserved in nature, that is angular momentum. Now what is angular momentum? Momentum is again that is related to the motion, but angular word is appearing whenever our body is starting to move along a circle or it is started to rotate. Like here, if this particle will start to rotate, then that time it will start to make some of the angle on this particular original point. So here that time we are calling we are measuring the momentum of the particle in the terms of angular momentum, and according to the angular momentum concept, our momentum is equal to P into R. R is what? This distance between the particle and this particular point. This is R, and P is what? That is the linear momentum of this one. So this is called the angular momentum of the particle, and whenever you will calculate angular momentum, that will be always conserved just like the linear momentum in universe. Fourth one, the last one here, that is law of conservation of charge. Charge means you know already And if somewhere you are saying charges are produced, actually charges are never produced. Again, it is just like the energy. We are only transferring the charges from one body and that body becomes charged. Like if you have some of the neutral bodies, suppose in any of the atom you have, suppose I take the example of sodium, then it has 11 electrons. Now it is in neutral state. But what will be if you will add one electron to it? If add one electron, then this will be 12, and this sodium will start to become negative. We are just saying they giving is negative, means additional electron, electron is transferred to it, it acquires a charge. So here charge is not producing, actually charge is transferring. Similarly, if you will remove one electron, that time it will become positively charged. So simple positive negative charges are generated due to excess of electron or due to deficiency of electron. If deficiency of electrons are there, then that time positive charge means removal of electron give the positive charge, addition of electron give the negative charge. So this is the in which you can see charges are not ever produced, they are only transferred from one body to another body. So this is our charge, conservation of charge. So now these four laws of nature, I think that is now clear. These four forces of nature is clear. So our physical world chapter is ended with these two topics. We will start to discuss the next chapter, measurement, from the next class. So let's end our class here, please.